This podcast is brought to you by Podspot Events.
Hello and welcome to the Bondi Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Beattie. The guest on this episode is professional boxer Kate McLaren. Now, we actually recorded this episode a few days after Kate's WBC title fight against Enja Ryan, which unfortunately Kate lost. So we talk about the fight, but we mostly talk about Kate's journey from being a model back in the UK to becoming a professional boxer right here in Australia. I'd like to thank Kate for coming on and opening up about her mental health issues, which ultimately led her to putting on the gloves for the very first time back in 2020. I hope you enjoy this episode, and as always, remember to give us a follow on Instagram at the Bondi Podcast to stay up to date with all our guests and episodes. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll find all of our episodes on Spotify. Cheers. Kate McLaren, welcome to the Bondi Podcast.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thank you for giving up your time. I know you've just had a big fight on Saturday, so I really appreciate you coming in today.
No, I appreciate, obviously, you invited me in, and apologies for anyone who's watching. Obviously, my face is a little bit bruised up. I've tried my best to cover it with concealer, but if you see the dark bruises under the eyes, obviously you'll know that I fought on Saturday, so I'm still healing.
I was actually hoping you would come in with no makeup and it would just be two black eyes and
I couldn't do it, Chris.
It would look more badass.
It was terrible. I would have got some serious looks as I walked through that door.
Look, we usually start these conversations by asking the guests what their favourite thing about Bondi is, but we're actually not going to do that today with you, Kate. Given you've got the two black eyes and you just had a WBC title fight on Saturday, we thought the best place would be to start there. How are you feeling?
Okay. Where shall I start? I mean, I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling okay. Did I really want to get that WBC Australasian title? Was it everything I was, dreaming of for the 6-week camp? Absolutely. Was I shattered at the end when I didn't get to put my hand in the air and I didn't win? Yeah. Was there tears? Definitely. But, look, I'm not a sore loser at the end of the day. Enja won the fight. That's what the judges scored it as. And congratulations to her. That's absolutely amazing. And I'm all about, women empowerment and empowering each other. And so congratulations to her. It's absolutely incredible. But how I sort of pulled up after the fight, it was emotional. It's been a little bit of an emotional journey. And, I guess it's how you kind of deal with that and overcome it. But mindset to me is everything. And I just, obviously, I'm going to wind down now through that Christmas period. And it's going to be a big 2024. And you've probably seen from my social media that I've called Enja out for a rematch. And my focus at the moment, it's all tunnel vision because I'm keen for that rematch and I'm going to make it happen. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, I've seen those social media posts. Any word on the rematch yet?
No word as of yet. It's gone quiet. But obviously, I guess everyone is kind of winding down for Christmas now. So I'm going to give it sort of 2 weeks and then I'm going to get my team to kind of reach out to her team and really see if we can organise a rematch. And hopefully it can be sort of in Sydney now. So we all went to Dubbo for that fight. A big shout out as well to everyone that came out because I had a lovely team. My guys come out and drive 5.5 hours to come and support me. It's not just like they popped down the road. So shout out to everyone that turned up to Dubbo Saturday night. Big thank you. But yeah, I'm telling you now, 2024 rematch Enja Ryan. If you're listening to this, it's going to happen.
And we're going to do it in Sydney this time?
Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. Yep. Let's talk about the fight. So I watched the fight live on the Instagram feed on Saturday night. That sort of tells you a little bit more about my Saturday night these days. I watched your fight in bed at 9 p.m. on Saturday night. It went the distance, split decision. 2 of the judges scored it in favour of Enja. 1 of the judges scored it in favour of yourself. I am what you would describe as a bit of an armchair boxing fan. I'll watch the big fights, the Tyson Furies, the Anthony Joshuas, the Katie Taylor fights. And I know when I'm watching a fight, whether I'm watching a close fight or whether I'm watching a fight that someone's a clear winner in. When at the end of the fight, when the referee when the announcer announced that the first referee had scored at 78-74 in favour of Enja?
I believe so. Yep.
I was pretty surprised at that, to be perfectly honest with you.
Were you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From my untrained eye, you were both throwing your punches, both landing punches. You look to be the more aggressive. You look to be the one proactively trying to create something trying to find an opening.
You're not the first one to say that. So let's sort of just add that in. And obviously, I've spoken to a lot of people and a lot of people who are not biased as well, just people who are fans on my Instagram and stuff. And they have mentioned that they believe the scoring was a little bit off. It's very hard for me to say because I'm one of those people that, you know, I like to stay humble and I don't sort of call people out and say, you know, oh, that's wrong or whatever. You know, it is what it is. Like, that's how they scored it. And, you know, congratulations to you. But I will say my 2 cents in this. And I do believe that, you know, for boxing, obviously what they're looking for is they're looking for definitely the more aggressive fighter. I do believe that I was the more aggressive fighter. They're looking for the fighter that's obviously landing the cleaner shots. Maybe to the judge's eyes, Enja was landing a few cleaner shots. I've watched it back twice. To me, it looks pretty fair, looks pretty even. But maybe from where they were sitting, it maybe seemed that she was landing the more cleaner shots. And then obviously, like your ring generalship, like who's sort of controlling the fight more, you know, how the both boxers are moving around the ring. I definitely feel like I made that. I was moving, I was slipping, I was rolling, I was resetting, you know, I was coming in with my 1-2. I was mixing up my punches with jab to the head, cross to the body, stepping back out, you know, maneuvering. I definitely feel like I had the upper hand on that. And then the last thing is obviously defense. And I do feel and I do believe that I was the more defensive fighter. You see me in the video and, you know, there's some slips, there's some rolls, you know, I'm catching, I'm coming back with that right hand. And yeah, look, that's kind of how I saw the fight.
That's how I saw it too. That's how I saw it too.
Maybe there's something I'm missing, you know, maybe there's something I'm missing. But that's kind of overall how, you know, the judges are going to be, what they're going to be looking for. And when I take that into consideration and I've obviously rewatched that fight, I've kind of gone, well, I feel like I've, you know, ticked off those boxes for majority of those things. I feel like the thing that she really got the upper hand for was maybe landing the more cleaner punches. But yeah, look, it's going to be a great rematch.
Hell yeah. No, it was a hell of a ding dong.
Yeah.
Do you get like any sort of explanation from the judges after the fight?
I don't. No, I don't. And the
Bit of a
thing is,
black
there's
box,
so
is it?
much adrenaline going on. Like we landed some seriously big punches. I mean, like I watch it back and I'm like, I don't think anyone can understand like the power in the shots that we both had in that ring. Like there was someone I was thinking, damn, like I wouldn't want to get hit with that shot that I hit. And then obviously there was a few big ones that she got me with. And obviously look at my face, you know, like you can tell she landed some clean, strong shots. So yeah, it was fireworks the whole way through in that fight. It was my first 8-rounder as well. So I was pretty impressed. We both like went the distance and I didn't feel like either of us were super gassed. I think we could have definitely done 10 rounds if we had to. But it was an entertaining fight and the feedback that we've got from it, like everyone really enjoyed it. And yeah, I do feel like we didn't leave anything in the ring, you know, like towards the end, we were just like giving it our all, you know, and those punches that landed, let me tell you, they hurt. They did hurt, but it was 1 for 1 almost, you know, like she was landing some crackers on me and I was landing some crackers on her. And it was a great fight and I'm super keen for a rematch. So let's hope 2024 we can really make that happen.
Yeah, do you know what I'm picturing at this minute, Kate? And it's just popped into my head. You know when like Sky Sports do the gloves off, the two opponents sit opposite each other on the table? I'm picturing you there and you here and me here, Bondi podcast edition of The Gloves Are Off. And I can just sort of mediate between the two of you.
Love that. Yeah.
We can hook that up. We'll arrange that.
Yep, I love it.
When the fight gets
when
announced,
she comes to
we'll
Sydney.
book it in. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Let's flip back to the original question we ask all guests. Kate McLaren, what is your favourite thing about Bondi?
Okay, other than obviously Bondi just being the most beautiful, best community, like there's always just so much fun stuff happening in Bondi. It's got to be Speedo's Cafe. I am a sucker for Speedo's Cafe. I absolutely love that place. Their food, their menu is delicious. Their coffee is great. And obviously sitting there looking out over Bondi Beach. You just can't compare, especially being from the UK, right?
Oh, so good. What is it? It's nicknamed or it's won the title of most Instagrammable cafe in the world.
I think it really is. Yeah.
What's your order when you go in?
Listen, I'm very, very lucky. So normally after my fights in Sydney, I go to Speedo's, and they know the next day I go with all my friends and we do like a celebration breakfast. And my go-to is the vegan pancakes. However, not obviously the last fight on Saturday, but the one prior to that, when I fought Caitlin Lodge, we all went, a big group of us, and the pancakes were off the menu. The vegan pancakes were off the menu. I was absolutely gutted, but they know me in there and they say, Kate, we know you've just fought. We know we do this for you, like after every fight. So they went in and the chef whipped them up for me, and they were absolutely sensational. So thank you to Speedo's Bondi.
Amazing. And topping wise, where do you go?
Oh, they just do everything. Like they come out so Insta-worthy, like you say, and it's just they're all stacked up, and they've got all the fruits and the syrups, and they've got like the vegan cream on there. They're just great. They're fabulous. So that's my go-to.
That's definitely post-fight. That's definitely not,
No,
cutting,
not in the lead up.
Not in the lead up.
That's my little treat to myself afterwards. And I tell you what, when you go through a camp and you're really watching everything you eat and you're kind of cutting out all the junk food and everything, when you then get that at the end of your fight, it's very, very rewarding. So, yeah, I love it.
I'll bet. That's a good one. We've not had actually any guests come on and say an actual place or thing. Yeah, everyone's comes on and just is like, community or the mornings or the sunrises. I like that you've actually come on and just said, yeah, I fucking love Speedo's Cafe and I love the pancakes.
I do. You'd never know I'm an athlete.
I saw your fight on Saturday night. I definitely know you're an athlete, Kate.
Thank you.
Look, I want to properly start this conversation back in England, back in Kate McLaren's hairdressing days.
Yeah, wow, we're going back now.
So I've done a little bit of research, and I read online that when you were a hairdresser, models used to come into the salon to get their hair done and you'd be doing their hair, but you actually wanted to be the one in the chair.
Yeah, always.
Why is that?
Always. I think I've always sort of I think I've secretly loved the limelight without realising. I'm an only child, so I've always kind of been that centre of attention. But it's very funny because a lot of people think I'm a very extroverted person, but I'm actually quite an introvert. I'm like a secret introvert. So like if you say to me, do you want to go out and like have a few drinks and party, or do you want to kind of stay at home with the cat and just chill out? Like, yeah, I just want to like relax and unwind and not really be in front of people. But I think growing up, I had a lot of confidence issues, and I felt like I needed to be seen and needed to be heard. And I loved dancing. And when I was at school, the things that I really excelled at were drama, PE, and dancing as well. So I really loved that creative side of things. And I never saw myself as a girl just cutting hair. My parents always said like it's a great job to have because, if you decide to get pregnant when you're older, like you can always cut hair and make a few quid, as they say in the UK, a few quid to kind of get you by. But I never really like had that passion for it. But it started to open my eyes a lot when I went to the Tony and Guy Academy in London, and we were working a lot with the models. So we actually had to go out and find our models ourselves, and then bring them back to the academy, cut their hair, and we did a lot of stuff for like fashion shoots, and there was always heaps going on with Tony and Guy. And I just remember thinking, like, I want to be the person who is getting the photos done, like someone's bringing the lunch too. But I was kind of the person on the other end that was obviously doing the hair and, checking the model's okay, and which is fine. But I just wanted a little bit more like glitz and glam, I think, in my life. And my dream always as a child, like my first ever thing that I wanted to do was to be a dolphin trainer, very random. But then as I got older, I really wanted to model. And I used to keep saying to Mum, I want to model and I want to be on TV. And in Tony and Guy, all the MTV stations used to come on. And I used to say, that's going to be me one day. Like, I want to be on a music video and doing this and doing that. And everyone pretty much told me, oh, you're a dreamer. Like, that's never going to happen. And I had this urge inside of me. And I was like, I'm going to prove everyone here wrong because no one believes that I can be a somebody. And I want to prove that I can be a somebody. And I didn't want it to be a somebody that can cut hair. There's some great stylists out there. Don't get me wrong. Super creative, doing amazing things with their career. Like amazing job. But for me, I just wanted to like be in London and be in the hustle and bustle. And I decided that that was what I was going to do. And I remember saying to one of the guys actually at Tony and Guy, I said, one day I'm going to be on a music video like that. And he laughed at me and he said, yeah, all right, Kate, no worries. Like, carried on eating his sandwich at lunchtime. And I actually then from what happened was, just rewind a little bit, Mum said, I tell you what, you get your qualification cutting hair behind you. And once you've done that, you can go and do whatever you want to do. All right. But first of all, you've got to get that qualification. Did that, excelled in that, had a job at Tony and Guy after that. But there was more. I wanted more. And I wanted that sort of fast paced life. And I knew it needed to be in London. So I started to go out and then I went to some agencies and tried to get an agent. And
what does that look like? Sorry, are you handing in a portfolio of pictures?
Yeah.
Or?
So originally I had to pay for a portfolio. So all my work money at that time, I then invested into putting a portfolio together. But I think this is when it sort of took a bit of a turn for me. So like not only did I have family and people at work and everyone saying like you can't do any of this TV stuff and you can't model and you just can't. Then I started going to some agencies and the feedback from that was you're too big. Yeah.
Too tall?
Just too big in general, because when I was looking at modelling back in that sort of era, it was all your editorial models, you stick thin, catwalk, and they just said to me, you're too big. And I'll never forget there was an agency and they said, oh, once you've lost, I think it was 10, I don't know if it was 10 stone or 10 kilos. It was a lot of weight, right, back then. Once you've lost that weight, come back to us. But right now, you're too big. So, there was a lot of mental health that was going on along that or around that sort of time as well. So it was really tough, really challenging.
Your own mental health at the time, Kate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I just felt like no one believed in me. You know, I grew up really having a lot of self-doubt and I didn't feel like anyone believed in me and I felt like I constantly got no for an answer. And I had it all throughout school. And then I had it sort of with me trying to do a job that I really wanted to do, you know, being in hairdressing, not wanting to be there, wanting to then model, be on TV, do all of this stuff. And the answer was just no, lose weight, come back once you lost weight. We need a smaller frame on you. So obviously that then embedded some really bad habits at that time of my life. So I then started to resent food for a little bit.
Can we delve into that a wee bit more, Kate? So what did that look like?
Yeah, so I just I was calorie counting, I was taking all of the fat burning supplements, and I remember one day at work, and if anyone from Tony and Guy is listening to this, you're probably going to have a giggle at this now, but I started taking these fat burning tablets that I got online, and this was like, we're going back quite a bit now, so they're early days of the fat burning ones. And I remember I was cutting hair and I came over super faint and I blacked out at the salon. Completely unconscious, went out to the back. Obviously, I came around and then through the back door. And I remember sitting on the step out the back and I just had these heart and chest pains. And we didn't end up calling the ambulance, but my manager at the time pretty much was like, oh, we might have to call an ambulance soon because I kept talking about how I was having chest pain and I couldn't breathe. And obviously, it's these fat burners doing their thing. And I think back then they weren't quite as regulated as what they are now. So, it wasn't good for me. It was playing havoc and it was playing havoc with giving me the shakes. And then, I was struggling with like cutting hair and so the things that I was trying to do and what I was putting my body through to try and get to where I was, I just felt like everything was no. And the option then was literally like, okay, well, I need to prove to everyone that I can do this and I will do this. And it was really terrible that the last option that I felt that I could do was just to starve myself. So I just stopped eating pretty much and I would just pick at little things and I had a terrible, terrible relationship with food. But we did get past that. So, so it's hard. And I just want to say to anyone as well who's listening and the younger generation, that is not the way to lose weight. And it's not about losing weight now, which is one thing I do really love about modeling. It's all shapes and sizes and anyone is welcome. So that's really good that now, obviously, the modeling industry has changed. So, yeah.
So how did you get past it? What did you do that sort of helped turn things around?
Look, I think what happened was I'm a big believer that you got to keep knocking on doors and eventually one door will open. and it did. But what I found was I got really into swimming in the mornings, and then fitness. I found fitness, and I started training heaps. I became not obsessed, but every morning I was swimming, and I was swimming with my dad at the time. We used to wake up at 5, go straight to the pool, and I was doing laps of the pool, and I started to notice that my body was changing for the better. I was looking more toned, more fit, and I kept pushing with trying to find a talent agent, and eventually one of the doors opened. So it was really good, and I got another great portfolio together. I started doing some music videos in London, and then I started working for a couple of online fashion brands as well. So I was getting paid really well. It was obviously it wasn't part-time, but it was like casual work, but it was consistent work that, I would get, let's say, twice a month. And I was finally doing what I love doing. And I think that really oozed out of me. Like a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but like my clients at the time were saying, like, you're great at this. You've got a lot of confidence. And sometimes I think you got to fake it till you make it, right? And that's exactly what I did. And as time went on and as my network grew, more and more opportunities arose. And I absolutely loved it. And lots has happened since then. I've done movie sets, and I did Australian Bridal Fashion Week when I was here in Sydney, and it's been a great journey. There's been a lot of ups and downs, but my life it's been good, and I wouldn't change any of it. So I'm very grateful.
When you did that first music video, did you contact that guy that said you were never going to be in a music video?
I was still working at Tony and Guy at the time. And I was like, see, I told you. And then he was like, oh, fair enough. Like, good on you. So, it was great. It's great. I've got friends over back home in the UK that work for Sony as well. So there was a time as well I got to record a little thing in the studio. I did like a cover of Rihanna. So it's been a great life, it's been really interesting, really fun. I met some great people, and here I am in Australia.
Sounds like there's been a lot of diverse experiences in there, Kate.
There really has.
If we can just stay on the modelling industry for just a little bit longer, like a mere mortal like myself doesn't really know the ins and outs of the modelling industry. What was it like, what's the industry like behind the scenes in London?
Do you know what I was doing when I was doing a lot of the clothing stores and stuff like that? It was actually great. It was really good. It's fast paced. It's not as glamorous as what people think. It's literally like putting one outfit on, going back out, coming back in another outfit, the hair and makeup person just fixing that up, more photos, change every angle, go back, another outfit. It's just hours and hours of just, going through different outfits, and then just having your hair and makeup stylist there to just fix it all up. But I loved it. It was really good. Was it as glamorous as what I thought it was going to be? No, it wasn't. But great experience, and I have no regrets.
Yeah. And at this stage, after you'd started swimming and focusing on your fitness, and you sound like you're enjoying it a little bit at this stage. Had your relationship with food sort of normalized at this stage?
Yeah. Was I perfect? No. I was still watching everything I was eating, but I understood sort of how to kind of lose weight as such. I don't like the word losing weight. I feel like that's the wrong word, but I guess maintain the right figure.
Yeah.
With exercise and eating food as well. Nothing to sort of where we're at now. Like obviously now as a professional athlete, working with a nutritionist, understanding, the body mechanics and fueling your body, I've got a much, much, much better understanding of it all. But back then, I was young and I didn't have any sort of support in that area, and I kind of worked it out for myself. So over time, things got a lot better, which was great.
And when did the modelling stop?
I guess I've always kind of sort of kept it going a little bit without realising. I mean, like the modelling, I'm trying to think when I last did Fashion Week. I think 2013 was the last time that I was doing the runway. So I did Australian Bridal Fashion Week. I think that was the last time. But since being in the UK and even over here, there's been little things coming up, and people are like, oh, I need someone for a shoot for this or that, and I was happy to join in. But since I've become, into my boxing and an athlete now, I haven't really touched or got into modelling as such. But if the right opportunity came around, I probably wouldn't say no. But I'm aging now. That's the only thing.
And you're getting punched in the face for a living as well.
I know, right? I know. Complete opposite end of the spectrum now. So, Yeah, look, I loved it. I loved it.
So that Australian Fashion Week in 2013, had you made the move to Australia
Yes.
at that point?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so
yes.
let's touch on that. When did you move to Australia?
13 years ago, when it was that. Don't make me do the math.
So
Don't make me
2010.
do the math.
2010. I'll do the math.
Yeah, I think it was around 2010.
And how old were you at the time?
Well, I'm 33 now. I moved here when I was 19.
Wow.
So yeah, I think it's about 13 years ago.
Okay. What sparked the move in the first place?
Just traveling. I came out here to do my backpacking. It was great. Best time in my life, like the best, hands down. I didn't know such a place existed. Like, I was young, naive, came out here, had some friends here from the UK, and I just had the best time of my life. Like, the beaches, the scenery, I remember spending my first Christmas day down on Coogee Beach. I just looked around and I honestly felt like I was in a dream. And I was just like, I never in a million years would have thought my life would look like this. And I had the best time, traveled all up the East Coast, did the whole camper van experience. It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. And those are memories that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. So grateful to have lived through that. It's amazing.
Beautiful. So even 13 years ago on Coogee Beach on Christmas Day, was it just hundreds and hundreds of Brits and Irish people drinking?
Yep.
Yeah. Some things don't change then.
No. And there was a group of us Brits as well at that time, because there was a fair few of us out here traveling. And look, we had such a good time. I feel like that was a time in my life where it was just before adulting, if you know what I mean. Like, we just had a ball. There was no worries about money. There was like 5 of us living in a small little share house together, and we'd spend all our days down at the beach or just like running around the eastern suburbs, and it's just a cracker of a time. Like, I loved it. Yeah, it was great.
Okay, so let's maybe skip ahead to 2020 because from doing my research, I think that 2020 sounds like it was a pretty big year for you. It was a big year for all of us for obvious reasons, which we don't need to get into, but sounds like it was a pretty big year for you. That was the year, was that, if I'm right in saying, was that the year that you first started boxing? Toward the end of that year?
Yeah. So it all happened so fast, if I'm going to be honest. Like, it's funny how the universe works and just aligns. And boxing kind of aligned for me at the right time here. So it was around December. But yeah, look, I was going through a really rough patch, December 2020, and my mental health was at an all-time low, and I was just not okay. If you were to ask me if I was all right, no, I wasn't all right. I was in a very, very bad way. And the people in my life, I was working in recruitment at the time, and those people really helped me to get back on my feet, and they opened my eyes to a lot of support that we have here in Australia. And obviously, being from the UK, I wasn't aware on what kind of support we have here. But thank you to the guys at my work when I was working in recruitment that helped me through that really tough, challenging period of my life. We started to move forward and to progress. But from a hospital bed to jumping in the ring for my first pro boxing fight, 2 very different times in my life and 2 very different people, I guess. You've got the weak, vulnerable Katie, and then you've got this empowering, strong woman that's stepped into a ring and having her first ever boxing match. So, in such a short period of time, there was so much growth. It was challenging and it was hard. And I honestly can say that the boxing changed my life completely.
What was the series of events that sort of led you to being in that hospital bed? How were you feeling at the time? Was it anxiety? Was it depression?
Yeah, it was depression, it was anxiety, it was low self-esteem. It was basically I had nothing. I'd gone from living a normal, comfortable life, working in recruitment, to blinking and losing everything. And when I say everything, like everything. Looking into crisis accommodation, dealing with counsellors, dealing with New South Wales Police. Like, there was a lot going on, and I've got to be very careful in how much I kind of talk about openly. But it was a really tough and very hard time of my life. And obviously, my parents being in the UK, I didn't have a support system at all. And it was just me, and it was one of my very close girlfriends that kindly looked after me, and it was my people at work and my peers at work, and my manager at the time. She was a godsend. Like that woman helped me so much, and I'm forever grateful for that. So yeah, it was hard. It was tough.
It sounds like you
shit.
Yeah, I'll bet. I'm sorry to hear you went through that, Kate.
No. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger,
This
right?
is true. Yeah, this is true. It sounds like you got the help you needed, though. You had a really good support system around you, and then you were able to sort of lean on the services we have available living here in Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like, to start with, obviously I had the support system with people at work, but I was quite embarrassed and quite ashamed to actually open up in the beginning and let people sort of know what was going on. But then it got to the point where I had no choice, and I lost a shit ton of weight. I mentally was not okay. I was shaking, and my manager basically signed me off from work and said, you can't be here right now. We need to sort you out. So like, that woman done so much for me, and like I said, I'm very grateful for everything she done and for helping me get on the straight and narrow again. And leading me into boxing. I'll never forget when I gave her my notice, and she said to me, "Oh, what competitor are you moving to?" Like, thinking I was going to another company. And I said, "Don't laugh at me." I said, I'm going to become a professional boxer. And she just said, "What? Get out of here. Like, that's amazing." So, the transition of not young, but vulnerable Katie into this powerhouse that was like, I'm quitting my job, I'm giving up everything, and I'm taking all this risk to then now go and pursue the career and becoming a professional boxer. She's like, "You go, girl."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Before we get into the boxing, Kate, one thing I want to just get your opinion on. You're not the first person that will have done that, in the terms of letting it get to crisis point before breaking. Why do you think so many of us let it get that far before reaching out for help?
I think it's shame, for one, because when you're in a situation like that, you blame yourself. You're very quick to point the finger at yourself, and you lose self-worth. And I think it's shame of actually opening up and saying to someone, "Hey, I'm not all right." Especially at the age of 30, you think at the age of 30, like, your life should all be together, and you're at that point in your life where you're buying a house and you're all in love and you're getting married and you're having kids. And then to not be in that position, and to be in a complete opposite position where you've not got any of that, you've got no partner, you've got no support, you've not got no family, and you've got no money to get help. It's a bit shameful, if I'm honest. Yeah. And like, that's how I feel. It's not shameful. It shouldn't be shameful. We should be able to openly speak about this, and we should be able to reach out, and I should be able to say, "Hey, Chris, I'm in a really shit predicament here. Like, I need some help." And you go, "Yeah, sweet, Kate, like, what do you need?" But it's having that courage to open up and openly speak about it, and I think that's what a lot of people struggle with, is just saying, "Hey, I need help."
From my own experience, shame is very powerful, and it can control a lot of what you do, even if you know it's not the right thing. I think, it's a very powerful driver of human action and what we do.
Yeah, I think sometimes the voices in our head get so loud that we can't even hear ourselves think. Like, it's all these voices telling us that, you're a bad person, you're doing the wrong thing, and you've got no money, and you need to be here at your life, and you're 30, and you should have this, and you should, and why haven't you? And we just need to shut all of that out. Just take a second, breathe, and then be comfortable enough to say to someone, "Hey, I just need 5 minutes of your time. I just need to talk," and to talk it through with another human being that can then help point you in the right direction. And that was the changing point for me. When I did go to my manager and finally let my guard down and say, "Hey, like, I'm actually not all right. I need help, and I just don't know where to start." That was when she said, "Okay, let me help you. All right, we need to do this. We need to get that. Let me literally hold you and take you to where you need to be to get your mental health in a good space, so that then you can eventually think for yourself." Because when you are in that terrible, dark place, you can't think for yourself. I remember trying to find counseling support online for free because I had no money at this time. and I couldn't even spell the word or like find what I was looking for, and everything's just such a blur, and everything's going at 1,000,000 miles an hour that you can't even find in Google what you're looking for, you know. Yeah, it was just a very hard point, a very hard time in my life. And I think as well, like a lot of people were like, oh, but how did you have no money? Like you were working, right? But you got to remember, like I'm an English citizen, or was an English citizen at that time, and I couldn't get any legal help or any kind of help. So they wanted to, well, not they, but I had to then pay for services. But when you have $0 in your bank account and you have to pay for services for your mental health, it was impossible. It was completely impossible. So that was when I was very, very dependent then on my support system. And that's why now I always talk about it's about having a good support system, you know, whether that's one person in your life, whether that's 10 people in your life, you need to have a support system. It's so, so important.
Yeah. And sometimes just getting it out and telling someone's it's half the battle, right?
Absolutely.
Because things then can cascade in a positive direction from there. And that sounds like what happened with you.
You're right. Yep.
And that's how you got the gloves on.
That's exactly how I got the
right.
gloves
so
on.
So tell me about how you got the gloves on.
I guess, so I knew for my own mental health, I need to go back to the gym. I need to start training. That's the only thing that's going to make me feel better, because before that, I was turned into alcohol and I was just drinking myself silly every single night on my own, not going out partying, nothing. I had to numb the pain. And for me, it was drinking. You know, I'd be laying on my sofa, or I was staying in a hotel at the time, but just necking back drink just to numb everything that was going on. And like obviously again, I had another eating problem at this time in my life. You know, when you've got severe anxiety, you can't eat anyway. You just feel like you're going to be sick all the time. And the only way that I was getting through and not feeling as shit as what I was to drink. And for me, alcohol, like I'm fine. But let's say if we go out into a social setting, I'm a fun drunk, if you know what I mean. Like I'll have fun and I'll laugh. I'm not someone that is sad, but I felt like when I was drinking at this point in my life and my mindset was at such an all-time low, that was just suppressing my mood even more. It was actually just taking me into a deeper, darker place, and it was not fixing anything. And I mentally felt like, oh, it's fixing, it's numbing the pain. And it wasn't. It was actually making things a hell of a lot worse. And then one day I just had this big wake-up call, and I was like, what am I doing with my life? Where am I going? The only thing that is going to help me here is I think I need to try and get my ass back to the gym. And it was through taking that first step back to the gym was not easy. Let me tell you this, it was not easy. I turned up, I was crying, I was emotional, I could not hold it together. And my coach and the owner of the gym at the time pulled me aside, and he had the most powerful, inspirational talk to me. And he just said to me, look, at the end of the day, he said, you can stand here and you can cry and you can dig yourself a hole and go backwards in life. He said, or you can say, F this, I'm going to go into my first 12-week boxing camp. He said, and I will promise you, he said, at the end of the 12 weeks, you will look back and you will be a changed woman. He said, it's going to take all of your focus away from all of this traumatic stuff that's going on in your life. It's going to give you purpose to get out of bed, and it's going to give you some sort of direction until you figure out exactly what you want to do. And I never wanted to fight. I'd done martial arts my whole life, and I never was one that actually wanted to fight or get involved. I just like doing it for fitness. But something he said to me that day, Jesse, this is Jesse Sanchez at Legends Gym in Kensington. I just thought, you know what, he's right, and I need to do it, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to prove to everyone that I can do it. But what I realized along that 12 weeks is it wasn't actually about everyone. It was about me. And when I look back at the end of that 12-week camp, and I realized how much I'd grown as a person, and how much I'd changed, and how much my support system had changed, and I was surrounding myself with the right people that were then elevating me and lifting me up and making me feel human and loved and cared for again. Like, that was the changing point for me. And I honestly say that boxing saved my life. It really did, because if I didn't take that first step back into that gym, and if Jessie didn't have that conversation with me that day, I'd probably still be drinking myself to sleep every night, and who knows where I'd be now.
You could have done anything, Kate. From that point, you could have got back into your swimming, running, yoga, but you decided to go from bed in a hotel room, drinking by yourself, to a 12-week boxing
Yeah.
camp. Now, fill in that gap for me. Why did you just know you needed to go from one extreme to the other?
Well, the reason I ended up at the boxing gym was because I'd been training at Legends Gym Kensington for 5 years at this point. So, so I was doing Muay Thai. I wasn't actually training in boxing, but I decided I'm going to go from Muay Thai, which was a different room, into the boxing room and try boxing. I just wanted to change it up. And I just was literally doing it for fitness. And I knew everyone in the gym. So it wasn't like I was going into a completely new class of all new people. I was still going in with people I knew, like I felt comfortable. But I just wanted to try something different. I don't know what it was that sort of triggered me to, not go to Muay Thai and give boxing a go. But again, I feel like the universe works in crazy ways. But I went into that boxing class and Jessie had that chat with me, and it was the first day that I went back to the gym. And I remember being in the corner sobbing, crying. And he obviously said, like, you've lost so much weight, like you're not eating, like this isn't the Kate that I know. And he just said, just trust me on this. He said, let's put you into a 12-week fight camp and let's just have our first fight. And you know what? I didn't think anything of it in the sense of like, I was like, this is a great distraction. He's right. I should give it a go. It would be good for my mental health. Like, I understood all that. But if you were to say to me then, like, next minute you're going to turn pro, I would have said, you're absolutely dreaming, So I'm just so grateful that Jessie got me to take that first step, and I went into that first camp. And then again, the universe works in funny ways, and guess who comes into my life? I think we're going to touch on that in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to touch on that in a little bit. I want to talk about the 12 weeks a little bit more. So this is more than just hitting pads and skipping, right? This is you've started this 12-week program, and there's a fight at the end of it.
Yeah, so it's the Sydney Contender Fight. So basically you raise money for a charity. You invite all your friends and family to come and watch and support. They buy tables and they get a 3-course meal, and they get to see you go in the ring and for you to perform. So anyone can do this. Like, you could do it, So it wasn't like it was an amateur boxing fight or anything like that. It was just a 12-week contender fight. But we did go into my first ever fight camp, like they try and give you a sort of a camp, I guess, a 12-week camp. And, I was up 4:00 every morning running, whether it was rain, hail or shine, no matter what was going on with the weather outside, I would be out there doing my runs every day. I became obsessed with boxing, and I felt like I just had to prove to myself that I can do this and I will do this. And I'm not going to take no for an answer, because I was sick of everyone my whole life telling me, no, you can't. It's never going to happen. And something inside of me was like, I'm going to prove the world wrong here, even though it's just a contender fight. But in my eyes, it was like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to step into that ring and I'm going to fight. And I did.
At what point did you notice your mental health starting to improve? Was it right away, or was it a bit more gradual?
2 weeks in, straight away, I saw a big change. All the training, and so I was running in the morning before work, and then I was watching what I was eating at work, but I was eating like clean at this point, making sure I was eating my veggies and get my protein and all of that. So I'd take my little boxes of prep food to work. I'd eat that at lunch. And then the second I'd finish work, I'd jump back on the bus. I'd go straight to the gym. I'd start my first class, which would be like a group class with everyone. And then after that class, there was like the pro boxing class. So that was for anyone that was competing. And then that was another 1-hour session on top of that. And I was doing that 5 days a week, and I loved it.
Amazing.
Absolutely loved it. And it changed my life completely.
And do you remember that first fight, Kate?
Oh, yeah, do I? Oh, yeah. I remember the dry mouth before the walkout. I was like, oh, God, I've got dry mouth. And everyone's like, it's okay, it's just nerves. Yeah, it was a lot. I was excited. I was nervous. I had my coach there. I had all my friends come out and support me. And I'd made some really great friends at the gym at this point as well. And everyone came out to support and cheer me on. And it was awesome. It was so awesome. And obviously I got to do a bit of sparring through that camp as well. So we had the headgear on and we were doing rounds. So I understood, what sparring was at that point. And my coach said to me at the time, he goes, well, when you step in that ring, just think of it as another sparring round, like you're going to do 4 rounds of sparring, 4 2-minute rounds of sparring, and then you're finished, So that's kind of the mindset of what I had before I stepped into my first ring. But I think it really, really hit me at the end of the fight when, one, I did win that fight. And I think I always say, actually, you can't teach heart. I had that, like, I had to win. Like, I was hungry for the win, and that definitely showed on fight night. So I got the win, but I remember the referee put my hand up and I turned around and everyone was clapping and cheering. And I remember feeling really emotional and thinking, I've done it. I've done it. And it wasn't about winning. I've done it. I've overcome my mental health. I've got myself back up on my feet. I've got money coming in the bank. I'm eating, like I can afford to buy food. I can afford to get a coffee again. All these little things that we take for granted day in, day out, until that's completely taken away from you and you have lost everything, including your mental health, like you've got no idea. Like when I finally put my hand up in the air and I realized in 12 weeks how much I had grown as a person and how I'd got myself back on my feet and I had a great support system around me, I was just over the moon and so emotional, the fact that I've done it. I've won my mental health back.
That's beautiful, Kate.
Thank you.
I've got a bit of a working theory at the minute. I think there's 2 types of people in the world. Person 1 spars for the first time, gets hit in the head, doesn't want to do it anymore, just goes, nah, I'm done. I'm person 1. I boxed and hit pads for about 2 years. First sparring session, got hit in the face, was like, no, not for me at all. And I've not boxed that much since. Person number 2, yourself, spars or gets in a fight, gets hit in the head and goes, actually, that was all right. I want to do that again. You're person number 1, person number 2. So you've had that first fight and then you met Jeff.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Jeff Fennick, the man that changed my life.
He's coached Mike Tyson.
Mm-hmm. He's very close with Mike. Yeah. Him and Susie are very close with Mike and Mike's wife.
And you're the first female that he's ever coached.
First ever female.
What's so special about you, Kate McLaren?
I don't know. You should ask him. Do you know what? I think he really did see something in me that he has never seen in someone else. And he's told me that. He has trained females. He's very old school in the sense of like he used to believe that women shouldn't fight. It's the man that should do the fighting, and the woman, it's not the woman's job to fight at all. He, never used to like seeing women get punched or hurt. He's very protective like that, which is something I really love about Jeff. He's very protective. But I was that first female, and when I had the opportunity to train with him, I knew that this opportunity could change my life. And that's how I looked at it when I went in and I started training with the boys and the team, and I pushed myself like I've never pushed myself before. And I was hungry for it, and I needed this. This would have been my breakthrough. And whatever those boys were doing with training, I would make sure, even if it was to kill me, I will keep up with them. And that's exactly what I did. I went in and I proved myself. And he trained me a little bit more through that first corporate fight. We stayed in touch. He helped me with my first ever weight cut. Didn't have much weight to lose. I was very tiny at the time. But the whole process, Jeff was a fantastic support system for me. And he said to me, I've trained women, and I never believed that women should fight. But the first thing he saw as well, that I had quite good power. And he always said to me, like, you've got a very strong right hand, and it's quite unusual, like in a woman, So yeah, I guess I went in and I proved myself, and then at the end of the 12 weeks I won, and then I got a personalized hamper. So throughout the 12 weeks I was trying to figure out things that he liked, and this is the man that's got everything, right? What do you buy the man that's got everything to say thank you? And there was things along the way that I'd picked up that he liked doing, and I put this like little personalized hamper together, and he just said to me like that just sealed the deal almost. And he called me up and he said, I was working in recruitment. I'd gone back to work at this point, and he said, I'm so proud of you. Like, you've done amazing things. And Jeff had no idea about any of my mental health stuff that was going on. He had no idea I was in hospital. He had not a clue of what I was going through before meeting him. And even the whole way through the camp, I never mentioned anything of my personal life on what was going on and where I was at with my mental health. I just went in and I fucking worked. Like, I worked. And that's what Jeff saw. And at the end, he, a few weeks later, he called me, and I was at the office, and I was like, oh, Jeff's calling. And I was like, hey. And he said, I want you to meet me, come to the house, because obviously the gym's at the back of the house, and let's do a little training pad, and I've got like a proposition for you. Yeah, no worries. Would love to train, even though I've finished my fight. Like, he wanted to just do a little quick pad session. But the
wanted to test out that hook,
yeah,
didn't he?
Yeah. No, I think he just wanted to see me and congratulate me. And we went into the kitchen, and Jeff's got like this little area in the corner of his kitchen where all of his paperwork is, and he's got like he's old school. He writes everything out on what he's doing for the week, and it's like his little office. And we went there, and he said to me, "I've been thinking." I was like, okay. He said, I'm really proud of everything you've done, everything you've achieved. He said, I've always believed that women don't box. I've always believed that. He said, but I've seen something different in you. And he said, would you consider quitting your job, and I'll turn you straight to pro? And I was like, what? Like, I literally looked like my jaw just hit the floor, and I was like, what? And then I was thinking, I can't do that.
And you're 30, 31 at this
I'm
stage,
30,
right?
Yeah. And he said to me, look, we don't have time to take you through the amateur career, build you a big amateur career. He said, we've got to take you straight to pros. And he said, but this will mean that you'll have to quit your job, and you will have to be here training every single day with the boys. And he said, and he goes, I'll talk you through it step by step. We'll get you sponsors, and this is how it works. And he's like, will you do it? You keen? You want to turn pro? And I was like, yeah, all right. Yeah, let's turn pro. I mean, like, I had one corporate fight, went in there. I think I really gave it my all, which I did. And then the following week, Jeff's calling me up, or got me into the kitchen and said, I want to turn you pro.
So how soon after that conversation with Jeff have you handed your notice in?
Well, obviously I had to work my 2 weeks, but I went straight in, and I said to my amazing manager, that was my biggest support system at the time, I said, I'm so sorry, but obviously I'm handing my notice in. And then when they pull you in for that meeting at the end, she just said, what competitor are you going to, just out of interest? And I said, Jeff Phoenix offered me a position to turn pro, and if I don't take that, I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life. And she said, oh my God, get out of here. That's amazing. So fast forward 3 years later, this happened in 2020 December, right? So
just shortly after that first fight.
Yeah. Straight away. And 3 years later, I mean, like, I've had one of the very greats as my coach. I've learned so much. I've traveled internationally with my career. I've got some of the biggest and most amazing sponsors backing me and believing in me. And all of those things that I had, all of those self-doubts, all of those negative talks, all of those things through my childhood that I have a lot of trauma around, it's now all changed. And I've got the dream team. I've got the support system. I've got the best of the best, coach. I'm now training with Tony Del Vecchio at a Bondi Boxing Club, but Jeff is always going to be the man that changed my life. And I'm forever grateful for him. And Jeff and I are still super, super close. He's literally like my father figure as well, like he's done so much for me. And he loves and cares for me, I believe, like a daughter. And like all of those things that I never thought I was going to have in my life, they finally arrived.
Not bad for a Tony and Guy hairdresser, eh?
I know, right? I know. So I think my message would be to anyone who's listening here is, one, whatever it is you want to do, just believe in yourself. And two, go out and make it happen. Knock on every door until one door has opened. And that was the one thing that I did, is I didn't give up. I constantly knocked on doors. I constantly tried new things. I constantly met new people and tried to figure out, like, what does this person do? Or, network. Your support system is key. Your network is key. And what you feed into your mind is the most important thing, because what you tell your mind is how you're then going to drive your body to get whatever it is it needs. And if you are struggling with any kind of mental health, reach out, talk to someone, and they will help point you in the right direction. There's plenty of support systems online out there that you don't have to pay for. And if you don't know where to look, just ask someone and they will help you. But what a journey it's been in the last couple of years. I think, I reflect back and look in 3 years, everything that I've done and achieved, like I couldn't have even dreamt of it. But the thing here is I don't give up. And my favorite quote is, I haven't come this far to only come this far. And let's go back to Saturday night. I didn't win the WBC Australasian title, and that is my first loss on my record. But does that mean I'm going to give up and cry in a corner? Fuck no. That's going to drive me to push even harder. And I'm telling you now, 2024 is going to be massive. I've got so many things that I've already got lined up, and goals that I want to tick off the bucket list. And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do it all. And I'm going to have a rematch with Enja Ryan, and I'm going to win that WBC title, and I'm going to push forward. And you know what? If I get that opportunity to fight for a world title, I'm just going to go and give it my best shot. You know what? And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but I'm going to enjoy the journey as well. I'm going to love my support system and love the people around me, because those guys do so much for me as well. And I've got so much gratitude in that. And I just want to help people, because I was that girl that needed help, and I turned it around with the right people around me. So, guys, believe in yourself, back yourself, and go out there and chase your fucking dreams.
Love it, Kate. Absolutely love it. Look, it's been a hell of a 3 years for you. So 8 professional fights?
7, I think.
7 professional fights?
Yep.
A couple of draws, more wins and 1 loss.
Yeah, first loss on the record.
2 belts?
That hurts.
2 belts?
2 belts, yep. New South Wales and Australasian titles. So I got those this year as well.
Amazing.
Plenty more belts to get though. Trust me.
What has been the highlight over the most recent 3 years?
Oh God, Chris, there's been so many highlights. There has been so many highlights. I don't know. It makes me emotional when I just think about the journey. But I think the highlight would be my first ever professional fight. Fighting on Fox Sports and KO Sports, and having absolutely no idea exactly what was going on. I just knew I had to get in that ring and get the job done. And I think that's a memory that I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life. And I think when I told my parents that I'm quitting my job and turning into a pro boxer, I'll never forget the reaction of my parents. And now they're just so proud of me, the love and support, and yeah, my mum was not a fan. When I told her I was going to turn pro, she was not happy. And now she's like, I am so fucking proud of you. And it just means the world. I think I always just wanted my parents to tell me they were proud of me. It's what, an only child, or it's what a daughter or a son or whoever wants to hear from their mum and dad. And I didn't really get that until, the last couple of years. And I know, hand on heart now, my mum and dad are very, very proud of me. And I think that's something that's extremely important to me, and that's a win on my record.
I was going to say, your mum doesn't have a leg to stand on. She said, if you get your hairdressing qualification, you can go and do whatever you want, kid.
She did.
She did say that. Do you remind her of that?
Mum, I hope you're listening.
Look, yeah, it's great. Like, it sounds like your parents were really proud of you.
Oh,
something
fabulous.
I know that you're very proud of is your foundation, Kate.
Yes.
The It's Her Foundation, which I think started about a year ago. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the It's Her Foundation is a not-for-profit foundation which was founded in March 2022. And basically it's It's a not-for-profit that helps to support young females from disadvantaged communities. We're working at the moment alongside Youth Off the Streets, PCYC. We're a very small foundation at the moment, but we are looking to grow, looking to expand. And we basically offer any type of support that any young person may need. So we run programs within the community, which consist of fitness, mindset, motivation, employment pathways, all these kinds of things. And then it's still not released at the moment, but we're still designing and developing the online support system, which is basically going to be a website where you can jump on and there'll be any type of support you're looking for under that one umbrella, as well as some other little things like fitness, nutrition, motivational stories from people from the community. But the key thing for this foundation is support, because obviously from listening to my whole story of what I'm talking about today, we all need support, and sometimes we don't know where to find it. And now I just want to make it super accessible for people to find any type of support they need, all in that one or underneath that one umbrella. So it's her foundation is the charity, and this year as well, 2024, I'm planning a really cool launch party. So I have to get you to come along, Chris.
I'd love to.
And yeah, look, we're just here to help. We're here to support, and we're here to just make sure that everyone is okay. So yeah.
And how many people have the foundation helped over its first year?
Not a huge amount at the moment, because obviously there's only 2 of us working in the foundation currently, but I would say probably about 40 people at the moment. So yeah, but we're growing, step by step. This year I definitely want to try and expand the team a bit more. I've got a really great girl over in Melbourne as well who wants to become a part of the charity and start running programs over in Melbourne. So yeah, look, we want to grow, we want to expand, and yeah, we just want to help people.
Amazing.
So I'm excited.
I think you're doing yourself a bit of a disservice for these.
Oh, God love
I mean, if you've changed 40 lives for the better over the last year, that's pretty good.
Hopefully, yeah. Well, on the launch as well, there's one girl in particular. Her name's Belle, and she's the main reason behind this charity. And that young lady has, she's really opened my eyes to a lot of things, and I've helped mentor her over the years, and we've worked a lot together. And hopefully she's going to be able to stand up and do a little bit of a talk at the launch, and hopefully you guys can all hear sort of a few things that we've helped her with. So yeah.
So what's next, Kate?
Oh, there's lots next. I've got quite a lot of international trips planned with boxing. I want a rematch with Enja Ryan.
So do I.
Yeah, we all want a rematch. So I need to get my team to lock that in as well. I want to be active with my boxing career. I want to obviously have the launch party for It's Her. It's not a party. It's more of like a launch function. And yeah, there's a few other little things that I don't really want to give all my secrets away on what I'm working with, but I'm working on a lot of things. This year's going to be busy. I've got a big vision, and I haven't come this far to only come this far.
Okay, look, that's maybe a perfect place to leave it. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank
really,
you,
really
Chris.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris.
Great
Appreciate
conversation.
it.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.